In the fall of 2022, a disabled...
Here we got Matt Walsh talking about more about the no kings thing.
300-pound Air Force veteran in his mid-70s by the name of Craig Robertson posted the following message on Facebook from his home in Provo, Utah. Quote, "Hey, Merrick Garland, you demented weasel. Send your FBI SWAT team to my house." Less than a year later, Merrick Garland did exactly that. Shortly before 6 a.m., a heavily armed FBI SWAT team showed up at Robertson's door. They brought an armored vehicle with them, along with night vision goggles, ballistic shields, a mechanical boom that they used to shatter his windows. Dozens of agents then launched flashbangs and barged into his home without even giving him the opportunity to get dressed. When Robertson awoke, startled, officers say he pointed a handgun at them. They quickly shot him several times, killed him, and dragged his body onto the sidewalk, where it remained unattended for several hours. As news of the killing spread, various members of the media, including one of my producers, filed records requests so that we could see the FBI body cam footage of this shooting, but we never received it. The FBI acknowledged that the footage exists, but they've refused to share it. To this day, we still have not seen it. The FBI insists that the information cannot be released, saying that it might interfere with some vague, unmentioned law enforcement proceeding. Meanwhile, as they hid the evidence, the Biden administration celebrated what they had done. The neighbors were horrified, but the Biden White House was thrilled with the outcome. Craig Robertson, they said, had threatened Joe Biden's life in various Facebook posts. And because Biden was visiting Utah that day, the FBI had no choice but to assault the man's home, even though he was crippled. Watch.
The Federal Bureau of Investigation has launched a review into the deadly shooting of a Utah man during an FBI raid on his home on Wednesday. Agents were attempting to serve arrest and search warrants on 75-year-old Craig Robertson after they say he made credible threats to kill President Biden and other Democratic public officials. The deadly incident unfolding just hours before President Biden landed in Utah for an event.
The tipping point to me was President Biden was coming. He was going to be in close proximity. And this individual looked like he was on a planning path to carry out the attack.
A federal complaint full of screenshots details the dozens of threats Robertson allegedly posted on social media. One of them just 4 days ago. Quote, "I hear Biden is coming to Utah, digging out my old ghillie suit and cleaning the dust off the M24 sniper rifle."
We're glad that nobody in law enforcement was hurt. This is really not about just the rhetoric. It's about the actions that can sometimes go with that rhetoric.
So they do care when people threaten the president, huh? Interesting.
Biden's spokesman is just happy that no law enforcement officers got hurt. He's grateful that this terrorist mastermind, this crippled 75-year-old morbidly obese man who needs a cane to get around, was taken out without any loss of innocent life. What's left unstated by Biden's spokesman and by the corporate media is that more than 6 months before this pre-dawn raid, FBI agents watched Craig Robertson drive to church, which he did every week, and they saw him hobble with his cane and sit down in the pews and attend a service and then hobble back home. And then when he got home, the agents asked him a series of questions about his Facebook post, to which Robertson replied, "Don't come back without a warrant." So they were tracking this guy for the better part of a year. They knew his routine. They knew of his physical condition. And they knew that he was highly paranoid about law enforcement, justifiably so, it turns out. Therefore, whatever you make of Robertson's Facebook posts, and some of them were probably illegal under the law, it's obvious that the FBI had no reason whatsoever to besiege his home before 6 a.m. as if he was Osama bin Laden. I mean, they could have just walked up to him on his way to church, put him in handcuffs.
True.
Could have placed him under surveillance to see if he really was going to suit up in camouflage and try to assassinate Joe Biden. They could have taken his cane away and told him to go to sleep. I mean, they could have done anything. All of these options would have worked perfectly fine. But it's obvious why Joe Biden's FBI decided against taking any of those steps. They wanted to kill Craig Robertson. They knew he would grab his revolver if they tried to break into his home at 6 a.m. They knew his response would give them the pretext they needed. And then as they sprawled Craig Robertson...
Honestly, what he's saying makes a lot of sense. Because, like, if they actually were worried about this guy, there's 100% they'd be fucking wiretapping his ass and fucking sneaking into his house and, like, monitoring everywhere that he went. They would know, they would do all this. And they would have had the intel that, like, he was fucking crippled. Yeah, that makes 100% sense.
Robertson's lifeless body on the sidewalk, they'd be able to send a very clear message to every other so-called MAGA Republican in the country. You know, just months before Robertson was shot, Joe Biden, as you remember, flanked by Marines in front of a blood-red background, declared the MAGA Republicans to be the single greatest domestic terror threat.
That was fucking incredible. Like, who the fuck thought that was a good idea? Like, that was very interesting. A very interesting choice.
Faced by
I remember when that
Americans.
happened.
In no uncertain terms, Joe Biden ordered his entire administration, including the FBI, to pursue MAGA Republicans as if they were, members of Al-Qaeda or ISIS. And that's exactly what the FBI's field office in Salt Lake City did when they attacked the home of Craig Robertson. They were following Biden's orders. Now that the Biden administration is out of power, it's easy to forget about the story of Craig Robertson.
I didn't even know about the story. Did you guys know?
And about the video.
I didn't even know about this story. And did any of you guys know about this? Literally never heard about it.
That they still have not shown us. But we shouldn't forget about it for several reasons. First of all, obviously, it's a reminder of what Democrats will do if they ever return to power. They won't simply imprison their political enemies. They will happily kill them if they can concoct any justification for doing so. But there's now another reason to revisit the case. Over the weekend, as you may have seen, Democrats held a series of so-called No Kings protests in various locations across the country. Now, yes, they were sparsely attended, and many of the attendees were old, pathetic geezers, but these protests still served a purpose. They allowed Democrats to openly call for the deaths of their political opponents. Mm-hmm. And these were not the idle online threats of a disabled 75-year-old man. They were threats of violence that were made in public and in broad daylight by people and by a movement that has the capacity to carry them out. Many of these people were demonstrating their allegiance to Antifa, which is a known terrorist organization. Now, in a moment, I'm going to show you some of these threats of violence. And as you watch them, ask yourself, why haven't any of these people been raided by the FBI at 6 a.m.? Why haven't FBI SWAT
I am incredibly fucking annoyed by that, by the way.
team showed up to any of their houses? Why haven't any of them had their windows demolished by armored vehicles before they can even put their clothes on?
And the thing is this is like this across all media, across all aspects of the culture, right? Where if you say something, like if you say, like they can say with impunity whatever they want. Oh yeah, you know what? They can say things like, oh yeah, all white people are evil. Fuck white people. They can say that with impunity. They can say things like oh yeah, they can support terrorists. They can say that so and so people should be killed. They can go on and on about this, And if you so much as dare to say the N-word, even not even in a racist way, if you just say the N-word at all, in fact, even if you don't even say the N-word, even if you say a word that's even like close to the N-word, because it means something else in your language, you get fucking insta-banned. It's crazy. It's actually incredible. Yeah, if you're white, you can't even sing a rap song that says the N-word. How fucking crazy is that? But then they can say to you that all white people, the fact that I can say that on stream, paraphrasing them, obviously, is fucking crazy. But like, God forbid, I want to talk about history and I want to say the N-word because I want to talk about its historical significance. Insta-banned. How fucking ridiculous is that? It's just like the fact, like in so much of culture and so much of society, the rules are not even close to the same. Like the application of all of these rules is not even close to the same. And it is fucking insane. And actually, we're going to watch a video about that right after this. Of it happening on Twitch, by the way.
Not to say these people should suffer the same fate as Craig Robertson. I'm certainly not saying that the FBI should concoct a pretext to kill any of these people.
Roasted Panther. Thanks, homie.
I don't think the federal government should operate that way. But at the same time, as long as we're pretending that the rule of law still exists in this country, you'd think they'd suffer some consequences for breaking the law, just as Craig Robertson supposedly broke the law. And yet, as far as we know, none of the leftists who made threats of violence have even been questioned by federal authorities, much less arrested, much less attacked in their own homes at 6 a.m. This is footage from the perimeter of a No Kings protest in downtown Chicago over the weekend. Christopher Sweat with Graystack Media shot this footage. Here it is. Watch it.
You gotta grab a gun. We gotta turn around the guns on this fascist system. These ICE agents gotta get shot.
Actually, didn't you know that the right is responsible for all of the political violence? Actually, the right is way more violent than the left, actually, guys.
And wiped out the state machinery that's a full display.
Sirium says, thank you so much for the bits. I'm Hispanic, and I was talking to my parents in Spanish and said the color black in Spanish, and people started to get in my face calling you racist.
Right there has to get wiped out.
You got to grab a gun. We got to turn around the guns on this fascist system. These ICE agents got to get shot and wiped out.
Yeah, because black in Spanish is
The same machinery that's on full display right there has to get wiped out. Now, in the longer clip, the man says that killing ICE agents is necessary to ensure justice for black people and working class people and, of course, Palestine. Now, by any measure, this is unlawful speech. The man should be arrested. The Fed should seize all of his computers and his cell phones, figuring out who he's been coordinating with, if anyone. We need to know if anyone is funding him. These are basic steps that need to be taken to ensure that more conservatives aren't assassinated by people like this. So is anyone taking those steps? And we have no idea at the moment. Certainly there's been no statement from the DOJ that this
is all 100% on purpose. You guys remember? Anyone remember when the fucking liberals were always talking about stochastic terrorism? Isn't this literally stochastic terrorism? How does this keep happening? How does this keep happening that they talk about some shit? They call people shit. They say people are doing shit, and they're the ones doing it. How does this keep happening? Oh, insurrection. Do you remember when they took over an entire part of a city and they said, by the way, we're our own country now? What the fuck?
Person has been arrested or that his home has been raided. The man has supposedly been identified by random internet detectives as a staff member at Wilbur Wright College, which shouldn't be remotely surprising. Some of the most deranged, violent leftists work in, academia.
Yeah, and then people send their fucking kids there. Guys, I gotta say it. If you're still like in 2025 being like, yeah, I gotta send my kid to like one of these colleges, you're just retarded. I'm sorry. And I know there's probably people that have done that in chat, or they're doing that right now in chat, probably because a lot of family people watching. What are you doing? What are you doing?
But we don't have official confirmation at this point, even though we should have it about who this guy is. We should have official confirmation because we should have a mugshot of him because he should be in jail right now. We need to see mass arrests after these so-called protests.
Do you really gotta send your kids to like some kind of trade school? Or you gotta send them to some kind of trade school, or like, I don't know, like a freaking Christian university or something. I mean, it's probably safer there. Or I don't know. Someone should make a list of colleges that are like actually good and have actual teachers that are going to teach you like actual real things. Someone needs to make that list because I don't even know. Me personally, I don't even know what colleges those would be. Thank you, Len. Thank you so much for the sub. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thanks for sticking around, man. Thank you for 61 months, dude. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Means a lot to me. Yeah, I don't even know where you sent them, man. Like, where do you send them? Hillsdale College, Charlie Kirk swore by it. Yeah, you gotta send them somewhere that's not gonna convert your kid into like a fucking... Dude, these colleges are just fucking leftist factories, dude. It's unreal. Okay, guys, do you guys remember? Do you remember that thing? Oh god, what was that thing that we were looking at? And they had they were watching like that video about Roblox or whatever, and they had like the fucking furry factory where like you go in there and then you get turned into a furry. It's like that, but it's a commie factory. I know so many people, man, that have conservative parents, good old American values parents, and then they go to college and it's over for them. Like they go to college for 4 years, over. They're not the same anymore when they get back. They fucking hate their parents and shit when they get back. Man, your sister, yeah, my brother, man.
Here's another threat of violence. This one was captured by Brandy Cruz of the Undivided podcast. The footage is from Seattle. Watch.
Who are you gonna kill?
Nazis.
Who do you define as a Nazi?
What do you mean? It's pretty...
In this context, who's a Nazi?
Stephen Miller's a Nazi.
So you're gonna kill Stephen Miller?
If I had the chance, yeah, I would.
How can they just say this?
I don't know if that's something I'd say on camera, bro.
Now, there's another video that Brandy Cruz uploaded shortly after this one in which a random middle-aged guy who looks relatively normal says basically the same thing. He agrees that it would be, quote, justifiable to murder Stephen Miller. Again, this is the prevailing sentiment on the left right now, in the mainstream. Now, the FBI is apparently aware of this footage, according to Brandy Cruz, but we don't...
I don't get it. When people are saying the 2%, I don't get it. What does that mean? What does that mean? Is that like a dog whistle? I don't know what that is. Like, I'm just being real. What does that mean? Oh, it's an Asmongold. Oh, is it? Oh, Asmon. Oh, okay. I get it now. I get it now.
Exactly
I get it now.
What that means. The FBI certainly hasn't released a statement saying that they've arrested this person, thrown him in solitary confinement where he should be.
That, like, basically you can solve all the problems by actually locking up 2% of people. Yeah.
He's a political terrorist. He's a suspected political terrorist. should be in Guantanamo Bay right now. And until that happens, they might as well do nothing at all. I mean, until there's an actual crackdown on these people with a tenth of the intensity of the Biden administration's crackdown on conservatives, nothing will change. They'll continue threatening us and killing us with total impunity. And indeed, that was the entire point of the so-called No Kings protest.
Oh, no, we have some roaches in here. I like Asmongold. Just because I like Asmongold doesn't mean I agree with him on everything. Like, I like the way he talks about stuff. I like the way he analyzes stuff. And while I don't agree with his conclusions all the time, I really appreciate that he does that. He's probably one of my favorite content creators. This is footage from Chicago in which a woman mocks the assassination of Charlie Kirk as Kirk's supporters drove by. She mimes a gun shooting someone in the neck. Watch. Julio says, I disagree with him with half of his stuff. I still watch him every day. Yeah, me too. Hey,
you ever heard of Ozempic, you fat ass?
Now, in probably the least surprising development of all time, this woman has been identified online as I'll give you one guess, a public school teacher.
They're always teachers, man. Dude, man, you might have to start homeschooling your kids. I don't know. You either gotta homeschool your kids or send them to private school, man. Honestly, sending them to private, like middle school and high school, is probably more worth it than sending them to college at this point. I'm just being real. Like, this is fucking ridiculous. There's no official confirmation, but her reported school, Nathan Hale Elementary School, apparently just deleted its X account and took its entire website. Private schools are not safe. Site offline. So that seems like confirmation. And also confirmation that you should homeschool your children immediately, or at least take them out of public school, if that's where they are. You know, a huge number of public school teachers. You know what people need to start doing? People in like these kind of smaller communities need to just like co-op homeschool, you know, where like they kind of take turns or whatever. And they like, you know, you like go to someone's house or whatever, something like that. Think like this. They're truly demented individuals. Did you know I taught homeschool for a bit? Actually, I'm not even joking. I really did. I taught game design. I did. Yeah, I did. And they want your children to be demented just like they are. And there's a very high likelihood that if your child is in public school, and you're no, it was my cousin. I taught my cousin. Conservative. My cousin was homeschooled, and I said I would teach him game design because he wanted to. So for one of his classes, I would drive to his house and teach him game design. His teacher wants him dead, and you dead alongside him. Your poor cousin. Honestly, I'd be a pretty good game design teacher, to be honest. I'm not even joking. Like, I'm not even joking. The reality. And again, this woman belongs in prison. She's threatening Charlie Kirk supporters to their faces. It's unambiguous. So why hasn't she been arrested? Where is the SWAT team for her? Why aren't we throwing every single thing we can at her? Why not every look through the book to find every single law that she may have theoretically broken and charge her with all of them? Make her life a living hell from now until the foreseeable future, legally. Why isn't that happening? A few more exampars of leftist. I had a meet and greet at TwitchCon, but it wasn't through Twitch. It was through one of our merchandise, one of our merch partners, which is Moso Box. Glorifying violence at these so-called protests. Some of these don't rise to the level of criminal conduct necessarily, but they do give you a sense of the prevailing sentiment on the left. This is footage from the main wire. Watch.
So this is your birthday, so you came out on your birthday, you thought it was important. Tell me why.
Absolutely, because I have two little boys who deserve a bright future of freedom, democracy, and this is a nightmare that I'm living in, and I'm here to make a difference and to be loud and proud, and there's no other way I'd want to celebrate my birthday. What nightmare? This looks, what nightmare? What are you talking about? With my parents and my best friend fighting for our country.
So for a birthday present, what do you hope happens? You know, you wake up tomorrow morning.
I hope that I see the obituary that we're all waiting for tomorrow. That's what I hope for. Wow, such a nice person. You're so kind. Wow, what a good person. You're like really hyped for people dying. Very cool.
You wishing that President Trump is dead?
So brave and kind.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Guys, isn't the song so real? That shit was just a joke. Guys, listen, I made that song before Charlie Kirk happened. It was like a joke. Now, one of the things you probably noticed watching this clip is that the woman seems happy overall, out there on her birthday, smiling. Other than being massively overweight, she seems normal enough. And then, without missing a beat or changing her sing-songy demeanor in any way, she says that she'd be thrilled if the President of the United States is dead. And the woman behind her clearly thinks the same way.
This is the kind of woman that if you passed by her in the grocery store, she would seem to be smiley and friendly. And you would say, oh, you see, our political divisions aren't that bad. It's all online. It's all on X. Out here in the real world, things aren't so bad. Yeah, little do you know that this same woman will cheerfully tell you, oh, yes, I want my political enemies to die. Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
This is mainstream on the left. I don't know how many times I have to say it. I don't know how much more evidence we need. Now, of course, if this woman really believed that she was living in a fascist empire under a king, she wouldn't be allowed to protest at all. And she certainly wouldn't be happy smiling for the cameras as if she's out for a picnic.
Mm-hmm.
She wouldn't be joking around with her friends. And she would not be saying, yes, we're living under a fascist dictator king, and I hope he dies. If you have a fascist dictator in charge
You're
and
dead.
you say that, it'll be the last thing you ever say.
Yeah, actually, the movie I was watching about the Nazis, the guy basically just said that Hitler was bad and that he was lying to everybody and that he was a dictator, and they fucking executed him. Yeah, like they fucking grabbed his ass and executed him.
This is the absurdity of it. All these people, we're living under king, under a dictatorship, and I hope he dies, and let's rise up and kill all of his.
The fact that they can say that in the open is like
the fact that you're able to say that is all of the evidence we need that there is nothing approaching a dictatorship in this country. So how do we explain this inconsistency? I mean, one way to think of these protests is that for a large contingent on the left, they're an opportunity to do something with their very empty and dysfunctional lives. They don't believe in God. Many of them have damaged relationships with their family and friends. If they have relationships at all. A lot of them are, they hate their parents. They are divorced. They just totally dysfunctional lives. They're profoundly hateful people, indistinguishable from demons, really. They've been affirmed and indoctrinated for decades, even as the central promises of their ideology, one by one, have turned out to be lies. So in their boredom and nihilism, they attempt to express themselves through aimless, astroturfed protests about a monarchy, even though we don't even have a monarchy. Without any guiding principles or morality and without any fear of consequences, they have no problem making death threats or making light of death or expressing their death wishes. It's entertainment for them. It's all they have left. Now, that's presumably why this elderly man, for example, showed up to a protest dressed as Charlie Kirk's assassin. A normal man of this age would be playing with his grandchildren or, going to church or reading a book, tending to his garden.
This is what I mean. Like, they glorify these people that have actually done these vile things. And so, like, the next person thinks to themselves, the next person who, like, is a rebel that needs a cause, the next person is going to be like, well, I want people to cosplay me, and I want people to love me. I want to, I can do it while doing a good thing, doing my service. And it makes them believe that, like, what they're doing is the right thing. Of course, it leads to more violence.
Anything. He'd also, by this point, have come to terms with his own mortality. But when elderly, immature men haven't come to terms with their own mortality, when they don't believe in God, when they have no purpose in their lives, this is the natural result. Age and wisdom, we like to think go together, and oftentimes they do, but there's nothing uglier and more pathetic than age devoid of wisdom. There's nothing uglier and more pathetic than an old, decrepit person who has no wisdom.
Yeah.
The one thing you're supposed to gain with age, you don't have. And instead, you're just this immature.
Because wisdom is attained through experience, I think. It's experience, and whether that experience is something that you personally attained or something that you extracted from history. It comes from just experiences. So, like, if you're an old person and you don't do that, it means that what have you really done besides, like, things that just... And more so, I don't really necessarily think it's just experience. It's a wide variety of experiences, both good and bad, that kind of makes a person wise. So it's like, does that mean that, like, you just had everything in some way in life? Or I don't know. Like, you just lived your life just seeking pleasure or something like that, I don't know.
Or child in your late 70s wilting away.
An unexamined life is not worth living.
And that describes so many of these so-called protesters. They use irony to mask their very deep-seated insecurity over their own impending demise.
That's true. Precure Hunter brings up a good point over on Kick, or they learn nothing from their experiences. Well, the thing is you never learn anything if nothing is ever your fault. If your entire mentality is that nothing is ever your fault, that you're perfect, and that everything that happens to you is because other people did something to you. And that's not to say that there will be cases in which, like, things aren't really your fault, but even in cases where things aren't your fault, there are still things that you can learn from it. There are still things you can say, well, I could have done this better. And even though this wasn't my fault, I could have prevented it. And it takes that kind of a mentality to be able to actually advance yourself, right? If your mentality is that you never do anything wrong, nothing's ever your fault, and you should just keep doing what you're doing because it's perfect the way it is, then you have no reason. There's no reason to change. There's no reason to develop. So you just stay perma stuck at level 1 basically forever. And a lot of these people are kind of like that. They blame everything else for their problems. Like, oh, I have this problem because my skin is this color. I have this problem because I'm gay. I have this problem because I'm trans. You have all of these people just like constantly complaining about their issues. I have this problem because of society, because of the patriarchy, because of rich billionaires, right? And I think, and you know, I've been meaning to do, I know I keep saying this, Julio's gonna fucking make fun of me for this because he already made the thumbnail for it, but I've been meaning to do a video on this whole mentality of there are no losers and everyone's a winner, because I feel like that is the root of like almost all of our problems. It's one of the roots. It's one of the main like roots of everything, because it's created a situation in which like nothing has to change basically. Yeah.
To be clear, there's no age limit or age requirement on this kind of thinking. Here's the Pennsylvania Democratic Party chair in Crawford County. You can see here.
Would you think it's caused by parents coddling children too much these days and not taking accountability for what goes wrong? Yes. I think it is, because kids need to... So kids learn the most, and kids need to be taught that their actions have consequences and that they have agency over themselves. They have agency over like what happens to them, that they have some control over it. But if you teach a kid, oh, nothing's ever your fault, it's society's fault. If you teach them like this kind of communistic thinking, where it's just like, yeah, everything is like the fault of like rich people and the aristocracy, and it's all their fault. Not, you have no control over anything. Oh, you're black? Well, that's too bad. There's nothing you can do about it. Like, there's nothing you can do. Society is going to keep you down no matter what. The white man's going to keep you down no matter what. And they teach people this. It teaches them a learned helplessness, which is really, really bad. Because now you don't have people even trying to like do anything with their lives.
She's holding a sign calling for Donald Trump to be 86th, as in assassinated. Again, it's all very flippant. They're smiling. Why wouldn't they be? You know, they don't think anyone's going to do anything about it. In fact,
fucking who we are.
Like, they know it'll make them even more popular in the Democrat Party. The Daily Signal spoke to a woman at yesterday's protest who voiced similar sentiments. She repeated a bunch of lies about Charlie Kirk, compared him to Hitler.
Or Arnett says, I remember the Boondocks covered some of these issues. It's actually kind of crazy. I feel like I need to watch the Boondocks because I haven't seen the whole thing. I've only seen like an episode here or there. I feel like I need to watch the whole thing because it really seems like a show that was like trying to do the best with what it had.
She said that she was grateful that he's dead. And in the same breath, she said that she's a very nice lady, a very nice person. Watch.
Something that I've heard in interviewing Republicans is that they're concerned with the health care going to undocumented immigrants. What would you say about that?
I don't know that it's true. Everybody deserves health care, and we can certainly afford it in this country. So again, they're just, you know, they're pointing to things and saying it's our fault, we're too liberal. Yeah, it's really depressing. I don't know how anybody your age even thinks.
You want to know the crazy thing? Is even if we can't afford it, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it on principle that we should give people free shit just because they exist.
Having children, okay? Okay, millions of Democrats did not vote. Whose fault is that? We need to get ourselves together. And
here's how I see charity, right? Is even if we could, so let's assume that what she said is even correct, that we can't afford it. I don't think that automatically means we should give it to people. So I don't believe in giving people things because they exist. And if we do give it to them, it's completely out of our own wish to do so. And they should be grateful. That's how I feel about it, basically. And it can be taken away whenever we feel like it. I don't agree with this like we have to give people stuff because they have less. I don't really agree with that, to be honest.
And we might even need to be a little bit meaner. Because the Republicans don't mind being mean.
Thank you for the
And by mean, what do you mean? Do you mean protesting? Do you mean...
Maybe we have to, I don't know, stop being so nice.
Because you seem like a pretty nice lady.
I'm a pretty nice lady, but I can be pretty mean, too.
Okay, and I have to ask this because people on the other side are going to say that they feel like the Democrat Party has been mean. Recently, with Charlie Kirk being assassinated,
He's a piece of garbage. Of course we were mean. I am so tired of people saying, oh, but, it's a terrible thing. No, Hitler is dead. I'm glad Hitler's dead. Evil people have no place in my world. He was a hateful human being.
The thing is, does she understand where this goes? Because if you want the other side to play the same game, it's not gonna go well. Where do you think it leads, other than like just, okay, fine, you hate us, we hate you, then get the fuck out of here? Where do you think it goes?
It was disgusting, the things that
they keep doing this. The hardcore fucking psycho communists, they keep opening the Pandora's box over and over again. They just keep opening Pandora's box. And then when they open up Pandora's box, they can't wait to find another one to open.
Said and did. I don't have time for that. I'm sorry. I have to point my energy in other directions.
Nice. She's a nice lady. She wants health care for everyone, but she also wants half the country to die.
Yep.
So just to be clear about who gets health care. That's the kind of health care that she wants for me and you and pretty much anyone watching this. This is the official position of every single true believer in the Democrat Party, without exception. All of them. Every single one. That's why there's so much footage like this.
Yep.
And they want you dead. They will dance on your grave. And as they do, they will tell themselves that they're very kind people. They'll claim that by blowing your head off, they're being compassionate.
And the thing is that they'll say both sides, oh, there's fucking awful people on both sides that want everyone dead. Well, where's the footage of the other one? Where is it? Where's the mountains of footage? The hours of footage? Where is it?
And they'll inevitably invoke Hitler, not because they understand history or care about factual accuracy, but because it makes them feel like they're a vital part of an existential struggle. And because it's literally the only historical figure that they know. Quote, I don't know how anyone your age even thinks about having children, says the older woman. After all, how could you have children when climate change is going to destroy the world? How could you have children when we have a king who's going to enslave all the women? How could you have children when instead you could focus entirely on yourself? Rather than raise a family, you could save civilization from the neo-Nazis who lurk behind every corner. Like all deeply held beliefs that are rooted in narcissism, these propositions fall apart the moment that you think about them for a second. For example, in this clip, the woman says that everyone, including illegal aliens, deserves health care. Again, she also wants the government to forgive student loans, punish hate speech, etc. That's her proposal at this No Kings rally. But the only way to achieve any of these objectives is to massively expand the power of the executive branch, far beyond its current capabilities. They want to force doctors at gunpoint to provide services to people who can't pay for it.
Yep.
In other words, they do, in fact, want a king. They just want a king who's on their side. And just to underscore that point, not that it really needs to be underscored at this point, here's a post from the website of Democrats Abroad, which has been organizing No Kings protests overseas for the past 6 months. And you can see there's a quote, a few notes. We've changed the No Kings theme of other events around the world to No Tyrants, so as not to mix messages in a country
They changed it because they want to offend fucking UK.
the monarchy.
God, bro.
We're also swapping out no crowns in favor of no clowns. Come dressed as a Trump clown. Think bad blonde wig, orange face, long red tie, or whatever gets your creative juices flowing.
They have no
after
principles at all.
Of campaigning against a king, leftists have realized that some of their favorite countries, like Canada and the UK, have a king.
Crazy.
Meanwhile, the United States, which just voted for Donald Trump, voted Donald Trump in office with a majority of the popular vote and support of every single swing state, does not have a king. And that's obviously a bit inconvenient for the whole No Kings messaging, which is intended to protest Donald Trump. So now they've called an audible, at least in some parts of the world. It's enough to make you think that these people may not be completely honest about their intentions.
They're not, no.
This footage has the same effect, which you can see here in Seattle. Leftists dressed up as lice agents and rolled around in the dirt on the Constitution. You get it? They're lice agents instead of ICE agents. Really reaching for the puns on this one. It's reminiscent of the No Kings protests from a few months ago when leftists paid money to berate effigies of Donald Trump. This is now a well-established pattern of unhinged behavior and really cringy, lame behavior. It's not a one-off. So it's incumbent on conservatives at this point to answer the following question. How should we respond when our political opponents are openly deranged, immature, nihilistic, and most importantly, committed to murdering every single one of us? Well, here's a thought. We should not respond by obsessing over naughty jokes in a Republican group chat. We should not spend weeks fighting amongst ourselves. We should not be obsessively counter-signaling each other. And we should not be doing that when no one on the left, under any circumstance, would do the same thing.
That's a good point, yeah.
Instead, we should recall what they did to Craig Robertson, what they'll do to you. We should think about the FBI SWAT team that shot up his house because he ranted about Joe Biden when they absolutely did not need to do that. And we should keep Craig Robertson in mind as we pursue the leftists making threats today. Not because they should suffer the same fate, but because they are far, far greater threats to us than Craig Robertson ever was to Joe Biden.
It's true.
And after the murder of Charlie Kirk and the celebration of political violence that just took place all over the country under the guise of No Kings protests, we should treat them accordingly.
Yeah, there was actually a video sort of. Now here we have like kind of the intersection of like two different fucking topics here. We've got the Twitch situation and then the like the whole No Kings, the whole inconsistency thing kind of intersecting here. Cultural intersection you can see here. Maybe I'm intersectional now, you know what I mean? But basically the whole Twitch issue with like the Twitch being incompetent and the cultural issue of things not being applied evenly. You could see both of them in this one clip. So we've got this guy here, American Dad, got to finally ask Dan Clancy a question. I've been a partner for a long time, but another thing I am is a U.S. veteran. I've served in the Army and deployed to Afghanistan. Veterans are a protected group on Twitch. I've heard comments about how the United States deserved 9/11, PTSD. Veterans deserve that. When are we going to start holding streamers for stuff like that unaccountable, regardless of their social status? So here we go.
Hello, Dan. I've been streaming on Twitch for 9 years. I've been a partner for a long time. But another thing that I am is I'm a U.S. veteran, served in the Army, deployed to Afghanistan. Veterans are a protected group on Twitch. So I was just wondering, I've heard comments about the United States deserve 9/11, PTSD, veterans deserve that. When are we going to start holding other streamers accountable for stuff like that, regardless of social status?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for your service. Thank you for the question. Really appreciate, what you've done and all that. And, you use certain examples, and some of those examples led to enforcement, right? It's always a very tricky process because part of what we need to do is have a set of community guidelines, and we do have a team that works very hard to consistently apply them. The views of individuals aren't necessarily the views of our platform. We're at a time where people sometimes—
That's not the point, though.
In hyperbole.
No, but nobody was making that claim.
Unfortunately, and and this happens on all sides of the political spectrum. And so that's something that we have our guidelines. We apply them consistently. I understand you may disagree with some of those decisions, right? And I always say one of the nice things about Twitch is it's a platform where if you disagree with the views of somebody, it's not appearing in your feed, it's not appearing in what you're doing. It has—
Okay, so why does it matter then? Then why do people get banned for it? No, real question. Because if I said right now, right, like for instance, right, I'll use fantasy terms here, that all the orcs, all of the shit is their problem, they deserve to fucking die. If I said that about any other protected group on Twitch, I'm fucking instant banned. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Imagine if I said that about any group, you would get in trouble. You would get instantly banned. And I'm not saying it's a good thing to say those things, by the way. I think it's a terrible thing to say. But they can say that all the people in New York fucking deserved it. That all the people that died during 9/11, they deserved it. That veterans deserve to have PTSD. They can just say that. So the response to that, they're saying that 9/11 was okay and all the people that died there deserved it. And then you're saying that, veterans deserve to have PTSD. You can just look at somebody else's stream. You know what? Well, you can watch someone else's stream. If you don't agree with them, you can watch someone else's stream. Well, then why the fuck is it a rule? Why is it a rule? And why do people get banned for less about certain groups? Why is that the case?
Nothing to do with your experience.
This is just a lie because obviously it matters. Right? Obviously the answer isn't, you can go, this is your own, with free speech. You could just, this is a free speech thing. Like everybody could say whatever. That's obviously not the case. If that were the case, then I would be fine with it. Honestly, I'd be fine with that answer. If it was like Twitter, where you can say whatever the fuck you want, and then like it's just just don't follow them or block them. Okay, fine, that makes sense. Fair enough. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a place where like you can say shit about certain people and you can't say shit about other people. And even in the small amount of time that it's enforced against the right people, it's always a little slap on the wrist. Slap on the wrist. Take a vacation for one day.
And that's not necessarily true with short form content.
Sure.
There's all sorts of stuff that appears in my feed. And so part of this is
I know it shows up in his feed. I've seen it before.
trying to make sure you can find what is the right experience for you on Twitch, both as a streamer and also as a community.
Thank you for answering.
So a little bit.
Fucking literal bullshit answer, man. Unreal. I'm actually totally fine with a free speech platform. I actually believe that is true, that you can take the stance that, well, it's not like it doesn't really reflect our views, so you know, it's kind of whatever, they have freedom of speech or whatever, but you gotta apply that. Even it's not really freedom of speech if you only enforce it against certain people. It's freaking ridiculous, man. And by the way, the people that said all those things, the people that said these things, they were all like the special people. They were the chosen ones, you know. Guys, put it this way. These people did a fucking racist panel. I don't know if you guys remember that. They did a racist panel and they only got temp banned. They did an entire panel about it. They did like a fucking racial tier list, man. It's unreal.